If you have somebody that's reporting low energy, maybe they're experiencing increased fatigue, they're suffering some gas and bloating and some digestive issues, reporting that their endurance is lower and there's some stamina issues. Their strength is plateauing or they don't feel as strong as they normally do. So you start to have some of these observable symptoms across the 5 different triads. How do you go about starting to address those? So, this circles back to the downstream consequences comment that you made earlier here, but where do you
Well,
start?
I mean, obviously, where I start on everyone is they fill out about 150 question questionnaire. They get labs. It all combines. You put in their biometrics, and it all combines and creates accelerated modeling, right? So that it's not just a one for one piece. It's more like hey, if your cortisol's off and your glucose is off and your blood pressure is off a little and you're losing electrolytes and your lipids are off, we have to work on your stress response and your blood sugar. So the first step when somebody is having all those kind of symptoms is kind of looking at, well, where are the labs really off? That helps. And then when the triad system scores it, you look to, well, where's the biggest score? Whenever somebody says I got gas and bloating and I'm having issues there, we always think about, well, you have to work on that. You're going to maybe take out the big food allergens that typically bother people. Think of soy, dairy, gluten containing grains. If you really want to take it farther, corn is a biggie, even egg. And if you can take those big offenders out, and then what do you do to support your gut? Well, the first thing is get a good probiotic. And one of the big things I support are DNA verified probiotics that have human studies behind them. And they're verified to have all of the strains that are in the bottle all the way to the date of the expiration. A lot of people don't realize you put probiotics in a bottle, Crips and Bloods, they want to fight each other. So you got to have compatibility of the strains. The other one is taking fiber. Fiber is super important for actually managing the detoxification process to help with the processing of hormones, all of those things important. So I really like it. I'm a big fan of guar gum or some fiber. I think it's fantastic. And then typically I like to make sure somebody's taking something that's going to kind of knock off the bad bugs. All right. So we change their diet, more modified. What we do initially, a lot of times, is a modified low carb. If you're doing something where you're an athlete, you may need to add a carb like something that will give you the energy that you need, but won't affect your gut and the work that you're doing on it. So that's a core foundational thing that you could do. In terms of endurance going down, if it's somebody that's got to train and they're working out, the compound Landkind, which is a 98% salidroside, we utilize that in a product called Enduro 2. But Landkind's interesting because improves VO2 max, improves blood perfusion into the muscle. Because it's a salidroside, which is from rhodiola, you get a little bit of that adaptogen effect. And that can help people right away to feel like, hey, I've got better endurance, I got better stamina right after the first dose. Now, the only thing that makes this even more complicated is if you're tired and fatigued, a lot of times getting rid of those food intolerant reactions will take care of that. You may need to build your adrenal performance back. So are you having trouble sleeping? Yes. All right. Are you stressed out during the course of the day? If you're feeling stressed out, I prefer to get people started on things that will help to calm their nervous system down and then see how their sleep is at night, right? I mean, hey, we've calmed you down. If you reset that button. And so, that piece is important. If you're someone that you're training hard, you're getting after it, you don't have symptoms yet. That's where compounds like Navitas Pro, which is it's cordyceps, which is great for oxygenation. It has rhodiola in it, which is great for controlling the peripheral adrenergic nervous system. It's Chazandra's in it. You want to look to an adaptogen to keep you resilient, even though you're pushing yourself hard. Once you've done that, though, there may be some, adrenal rebuilding that needs to occur. I've been a big fan of using the gland extracts, which now it's very in vogue. Everybody's talking about bioregulators. Well, bioregulators just come from gland extracts. It's just a bunch of peptides that are in the glands. And if they're processed correctly, you get to take them. And you're getting a whole bunch of peptides when you say, for example, take an adrenal gland extract that would help support getting your cortisol back up if it's really low. You've already crashed it. And so, that's kind of how I would start on that person that's kind of fatigued and they're having gut symptoms is clean up the gut, shore up that cortisol axis, change the diet to be low inflammatory, anti-allergen, and then see where they improve. Because a lot of times, I got to tell you, I do that as a first step on an awful lot of people and they start feeling better. Now, I may have to think of, using nicotinamide riboside, get the mitochondria flowing, right? Because you when you take nicotinamide riboside, you end up triggering increased production of NAD in your cell, which helps with mitochondrial vigilance. And when I get the mitochondria moving, I'm going to make energy. So that's got to be how I look at it to start. Obviously, there could be other things, but that's what I see a lot of times in the bell curve of people.